Hi, and welcome to Shadow School. My name is Matt Sandbank. Today, we are making some monkeys. Now stick around to the end of the video for some monkey mayhem, and let's get started. Here are the materials you need for this shadow puppet. As always, we're going to start with a cereal box that is broken down so that you have a single panel there. And the monkey that I like to make is particularly good at swinging from trees. So we'll have outstretched arms. So we'll start with the part with the outstretched arms. You start by making kind of a wide check mark like this. A check mark, but with equally sized arms of equal length. So there's our check mark. And then we're just going to add an oval onto each side of this. This will be the monkey's hands. I like to use a Sharpie in these videos so that you can see my lines, but when I'm making puppets myself, I use a pencil because I like to sketch a little bit more, and I don't like the sharp, definitive line of a marker unless I need you all to see what I'm doing really well. And so let's give these arms a little more definition. That's the top of the arm, then the bottom of the arm. Let's do that on this side too. Okay, and then the head, we'll start with kind of a circle like this. Okay, they won't see the bottom part of the circle. That'll be swallowed up in the puppet, but they'll see the top of it, and we'll add some ears like that and like that. And we're going to do another check mark the same way, but facing down like this. Now, in the end, there'll be a body part that connects the top and the bottom, but for right now, let's start this way. And let's take the bottom half of that check mark and aim those legs down like that. Now for the monkey's legs, we'll do an oval here and an oval here. Now they have those opposable toes, so let's do that, and then we'll kind of give those legs a little definition. This is like the hairy bottom part of that leg where the hair stops. Almost looks like he's wearing pants, but I think the shadow will end up looking just fine. Add some extra meat to those leg bones like that, and I'm gonna round these legs off just a little bit like that. Okay, now we're going to cut these parts out, and then we'll come back and make the third piece that connects the two of those, because sometimes to get the proportions right, what you really want is to be able to hold your puppet pieces and rearrange them however you need to. At least I need to do that because spatial things are difficult for me. As I've said many times on this YouTube channel, I don't have a background in visual art, so some of those skills like planning for proportions, I don't have a lot of good tricks for it. I rely on the fact that shadow puppetry is a forgiving art form, and that in the end, you can make lots of revisions, and even if you do it really wrong, cereal boxes are fairly easy to come by, so you can always remake your puppet another day. It's a thing that I have to work on. I tell my kids and also my students a lot of times that it's not to be frustrated if it doesn't work out perfectly the very first time you do it. And I actually find that rule hard to abide by myself, but it really is helpful because very little works out perfectly the first time. That said, this monkey is looking pretty good so far. I think it might work out perfectly the first time. You'll notice that what I did at first was I cut kind of a rough outline around the monkey so that all these cuts are a little bit easier to manage. I like to make a big job smaller by cutting away the excess cardboard first whenever I can manage to do that. Okay, we'll set aside the top part of the monkey for a moment. Another thing I like to do when I cut is I like to cut with the bottom part of the scissors, the part of the scissors that's closest to my finger, because it's closest to the fingers, you have the most control when you do it that way. You can get the most precise cut when you do it that way, which is good when you're getting little nooks and crannies like this one that I made for myself. Sometimes you draw a shadow puppet and you get really carried away with all the interesting details you can make, and then you realize after the fact that whatever details you draw, you then have to cut out. Sometimes I get frustrated with myself when I add too many complicated details. So you can always simplify your puppet design if you've made it more complicated than you end up wanting to cut out. We're entering the final stretch here. Hopefully these legs will be in good proportion to the rest of the body. All right. There we go. So this monkey's too squat. We need a body piece to connect the top and the bottom. So let's take this scrap of cardboard. I always like to use a scrap of cardboard if I can, rather than a whole new piece. And okay, so what we're going to do here is we just need to kind of eye out how large we want that monkey to be. I think that will be good. A lot of monkeys have kind of short torsos. This one will anyway. But you can if you wanted a monkey with a longer torso, you could do something exaggerated like that. I'm going to keep it kind of squat like this though. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a little dashed line at the top of the legs and a little dashed line at the bottom of the body. That shows me where I'm connecting. And then in between these two pieces, I'm going to kind of do a slight indentation. And then I'm going to complete the top of the circle there on the top and on the bottom, just so there's plenty of area to connect the puppet. I'm going to go ahead and put a dot on both of those parts of the puppet. Oh, actually, whoops. Now I'm looking at this. I'm noticing the top will be just fine, but the bottom is too long. So let me make a note of myself where the legs end. So actually, we need to make this bottom circle a bit smaller. And let's do it on the top too, just to be safe. We got carried away there with the size of our connecting body piece of the puppet. This is why I use a pencil, like I said, because all these extra lines can be a little confusing. I'm going to go with this boulder line that's smaller there. So let me cut that out. And once we have this cut out, this is a really easy one to put together. Okay, so I'm going to hole punch here and here. It's okay if I miss the line by just a little bit. That's not a big deal. I'm going to get this bottom piece low, but I'm going to make sure that the bottom of the body doesn't overlap the leg so it doesn't show up and look strange. And I'm going to put a little dot there to show me where to hole punch. That. And I'm going to do the same thing on the top. Little dot like that. If you want to add another couple hole punches for eyes for the monkey, you can. I think this one looks a little better without eyes. Okay, and now we just take two of our brass paper fasteners. Here's one. And here's another. Now sometimes for the puppet it doesn't matter which piece is on top and which is on bottom, but for this puppet you want the head and arms of the monkey to be on top of that body piece. And I'll show you why in just a minute. Then we're going to line up these holes, drop that brass paper fastener through, pinch it down, hold it in place, and then separate these tabs. So we got like that. And then for the legs, it doesn't matter whether it's on top or on bottom. The only one that really matters for this puppet is the top one. All right. And for this puppet, we're going to actually use something called incidental movement, which is where you don't control every single piece of the puppet. You're just going to control the top part of the puppet. And then these legs are going to hang free because this monkey is made mostly to go swinging across vines, so we can let these legs hang free. If you want to have more control over the leg, you can add another rod down here to be able to control exactly where those legs go. But I think this one is actually pretty fun to let swing free, and I'll show you why towards the end of the video. So hang on for that. We'll have some monkey mayhem there. All right, I cut the straw down a little bit so that it fits better on the head of that monkey. If the puppet is flat on the work surface, you want that straw to be sticking straight up in the air. And I'm just going to lay a couple of pieces of tape down over that straw. And that gives us a pretty fun swinging monkey. And that is how you make a monkey shadow puppet. Now, the great thing about this shadow puppet is it has only one control rod, which means you can make lots of copies of the same puppet. And if you can figure out a way to hold multiple puppets in your hand at one time, you can create some real monkey mayhem, like this. Thanks so much for joining me today at Shadow School. My name is Matt Sandbank. Don't forget to click like and subscribe if you enjoy making puppets like these monkeys with me. Thanks. See you next time.